I'm Ryan Ozimek, and you're listening to Joomla Juice.
Joomla Juice, episode 10, with Ryan Ozimek, and I'm your host, Peter Russell, and we'll be talking today, about Ryan's involvement with not-for-profits and the very first Joomla Day in the United States of America. Ryan, welcome to Joomla Juice.
Thanks for having me.
Great opportunity to talk, and you're based in Washington, D.C.
That's correct, here in downtown Washington, D.C.
Yep, formerly of California.
Yes, there's not much surfing done out here on the East Coast, unfortunately.
What actually can you do in D.C. as far as recreation goes?
Well, you spend a lot of time watching politics on CNN and visiting the museums. There's a lot of museums here. It's a beautiful city for museums and for the monuments.
Right. Is that where the what's the really huge museum that they have in Washington?
The Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Yes, the Smithsonian has collections of artwork and artifacts, and it's great. It's just a great place to unwind on the weekend, and even sometimes in a late afternoon in the middle of the week.
I've heard they have a collection policy that they want to have one of everything.
That's just the way in which they're trying to operate in here in DC. We kind of think that we're at the center of the world, and and sometimes you buy into that, but oftentimes you get centered again.
Yeah, well, I think if I was to visit the Smithsonian, I'd want to go and see the space section. That'd be my first choice.
Yes, it's beautiful. They've got an air and space museum. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, let's get down to business. You're a not-for-profits kind of guy. And you do quite a lot with open source software. So, and more recently, you've been appointed to the board of Open Source Matters, which is an extension of the project, which helps look after the financial and legal. So congratulations on that appointment.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to serve.
That's great. So, in your NGO role, what sort of things do you see open source doing?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, that's something that I've been working with nonprofits for the past 6 years, and it's amazing to see what you can do when you show people that the technology and the tools that they're using are things that they can control and they can customize, and to be straight to the point as well, when you bring the cost down and you make it more affordable and accessible for these organizations to get their hands on this technology, it's just amazing to watch an organization that wasn't able to reach out to its members or donors to help do its good work, to now being able to do so at a fraction of the cost and really be able to reach out to the community that it serves.
So have you had many experiences where the oohs and ahs? Have you done a demonstration of Joomla and heard someone say, "Oh my goodness"?
Yes. There's a great organization called N10, and that's where all the nonprofit technology people meet once a year. And it's actually happening in April 4th through 6th here in Washington, D.C., and every time I go to that conference, I get to show people the latest and greatest in Joomla, and when they look at it and they say, "My goodness, I can just download this," the look on their face is great. I need to take more photos.
That sounds great. I mean, I've had similar experiences talking to people, again, including NGOs, who were using high-level enterprise commercial solutions, and then they've looked at Joomla and they've gone, Joomla does more than what I've got. Have you ever seen that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because the larger the organization, the more they realize that, there are so many things out there in Joomla, and the community is so well supportive of the NGO and nonprofit world that, it's really no longer a question to say, is Joomla, because it's open source, something that, we can't consider? Do we need to buy something from somebody?
Yeah.
Now people realize it's powerful and we should be using it.
Yeah. Have you seen? Oh, sorry. Here's a good one, and some of the people listening might enjoy how you respond to this. How do you deal with the objection, which is like, well, how do I get support? And it's not proprietary and it could be gone tomorrow. Those types of objections. How do you deal with that?
Oh, it's great. We have something that we call Joomla Tuesday, and it's a free little session that we have to help nonprofits in DC learn about what Joomla is. And when we do a Joomla Tuesday, we spend the first 10 minutes just showing them the community of support that is out there for them.
Yeah.
Both, the providers, as well as a community that has 95,000+ members in its forum. And you show them that and you guide them through that, and they say, I feel much more comfortable now.
Yeah, they're not alone, are they?
Absolutely not.
So what about when you get a systems administrator who's spent his whole life living in let's say a Microsoft world, okay? How do you deal with someone like that when they're involved in the decision-making process? Do you do anything to help them overcome their fears?
A lot of the times what we try to point at is in the open source world, there is a great there's a great and noble clause of choice. And oftentimes in other worlds, maybe it's the Microsoft.NET world or other vendors, there's this idea of this proprietary lock-in. And when you give a systems administrator to say, you have choice, we will help you choose what is best for what your needs are, it really empowers them. And by empowering them, I think they feel like they have more control and that their voice is really being heard. So you kind of get at first you get the look of, I'm not sure, this doesn't seem like it's stable. There's no one company behind it. And then you show them the power and the support, and they say, this makes a lot of sense. I can control what needs to be on here. And that's where things start to change.
How often do you find yourself talking to people that don't understand the concept of free, as in free there?
Right, exactly. Quite often. We've been putting on these things called Penguin Days here in the U.S., and the whole goal of a Penguin Day is to help people understand that there's a difference between free as in liberté and free as in beer, and that doesn't translate so well into English, but once you sit somebody down and talk to them about it, they start to understand that I've got more freedom and I have free. There's actually no cost to just download Joomla, but we need to look at the total cost of ownership to find out what it's going to take to get this done right.
Yeah. In fact, there was a study that's come out of Europe. It was a study that was initiated by the European Union. They commissioned. I'll just start that again. I'll cut and paste that.
Sure.
Yeah, in fact, there was a study that's come out of the United Nations University, commissioned by the European Union recently, and that study talks about the adoption rates of open source software, particularly in Europe. I think it's possibly higher than what it is in the United States at this point. And that was voted on in the European Union by MPs, members of Parliament, and they basically agreed to try and get government organisations, and of course the NGOs tend to listen to this type of policy development, but they've basically said that it should be a policy that people consider open source solutions as well as the proprietary solutions, rather than going for the proprietary solution by default, which had been the case in the past. So that, turnaround in attitude is significant for the likes of Joomla and other open source solutions. So, how does it sit in the United States? How does the profile of open source software sit within government?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think in U.S. government I have some experience working within Congress, U.S. Congress, and other federal agencies, and although they were quick to adopt systems like Unix and those operating systems, they are very slow to adopt things like PHP and MySQL, and with those main pillars of open source kind of not being adopted as quickly as we would like, it slowed down adoption rates for open source here in the United States, especially among government agencies. But I think that organizations and government agencies are starting to realize that open source really gives them a wide variety of choice that they didn't have before, and it gives them a lot of more customizable features and abilities that they're starting to take a strong look, and I think that people are starting to make the change.
Okay, so that's a positive sign then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another snippet I carry around lots of useless information in my head, but here's another snippet for you. The US Army did some testing of Joomla fairly recently. It might have been before Christmas, and the reason why they were testing it was because they were looking for something they could deploy to use for communication tool. Let's say at a battalion level, where each unit might want to have its own website. What they were looking for was security issues, and it passed with flying colours. So the US Army said thumbs up, and it's something I should follow up on, but I think there's a chap in Germany who's running that project, but they're looking at deploying 300 or so websites for the US Army.
That's amazing, and I think that's not amazing because I'm surprised. It's amazing because I'm happy to see that that level of government agency is really saying security is important to us, and we want to really hammer away at these systems to see what works. And there's nothing more beautiful than a system that is easy to use and that is really secure. Because for these guys that are working hard, either in the Army or wherever they are in the government, the last thing they need to do is worry about these systems being attacked or going down. Yeah,
well, I mean, I know for a fact that some of the US government departments have been running Unix systems for quite a while for that very reason, rather than Windows. But, we've got off topic a bit. It's been really interesting having this banter going. So, is there any advice you would give for not-for-profit guys who are still trying to make their minds up? What's the best way for them to get their heads around this and maybe make an informed decision on what they need to do?
I think that I've done a lot of sessions in this the nonprofit tech world to let people know what open source is, what open source content management systems are, and obviously myself, I'm a big proponent of Joomla. I think that the most important thing that an organization needs to be able to do is to say, what is the value and what is the size of this community that's going to support us? Because open source is all about community. The reason why we found so many organizations love to use Joomla is because the community is open and user-focused and ready to help. So from our point of view, the one thing that I would want to be able to do is when I'm talking to groups, I say, make sure you're doing an evaluation of the community, be it Joomla or otherwise. But in the Joomla world, you've got enough support there to make sure that you're getting what you need when you need it, and then download it, install it, and try it out. Because as soon as you try it, you won't go back.
I mean, I can remember, this is interesting because I can remember when the Joomla community consisted of about 20 people. Were you watching all that as it unveiled, as it happened, as we split from the Mambo side of things?
That's a funny story because I was in San Francisco the day before, and I took a overnight flight from San Francisco to Washington. I landed in Washington groggy and not wide awake, and I came into the office and I turned on the computer and I read the letter that said that the Core Dev team had moved on and was going to start its new Joomla system. And I thought to myself, am I dreaming? Am I still asleep on the plane? It was a crazy day, but it was great to see the people that were behind it were saying this is what's best in the best interest of the community.
Well, I mean, in that time, now you're in the thick of it. So how's that for an ironic situation?
It is very funny.
So the other point we were going to talk about today was Joomla Day USA.
Absolutely.
And you're helping or running this thing? You're putting it together?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We've got Joomla Day USA West. That's correct.
Okay. Do you have a website? Do you want to give us the URL?
Of course, yes. It's at www.joomladayusa.org.
Okay. Now, where's that going to be held?
We are holding this in beautiful California at the world-famous Googleplex in Google, which is in Mountain View, California, just outside of San Francisco.
I'm sorry, what's the name of that organization?
This small, tiny company called Google.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just joking. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So, apart from having a chance to go to the first Joomla Day USA, you get a chance to get access to the Google building. Is this what's going to be happening?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Google has really opened their doors and their arms to both Joomla Day USA as well as Joomla in general, and their facilitation and providing us the ability to host these people to meet in the community is just fabulous.
Wow, because that's really a big help out. Because I'm guessing that they're just helping you out with facilities would save you a lot of money in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. In the San Francisco Bay Area, most definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. So, for the uninitiated, is it easy to get to the Google complex from San Francisco proper? How far is it?
It is from San Francisco. It's about a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
There's also a train that goes from San Francisco to a few miles away from Google, and then for people in Los Angeles or in San Diego, down in Southern California, it's maybe a 1-hour airplane flight.
Okay, so you could actually catch a train to Google, a train and cab.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now here's the question for you: what's on the agenda?
Yes, the agenda. Well, we took a hard look at what other Joomla days were doing, and just amazing work was done all around the world. And we thought, being that we're the United States, we're going to have to go it a little differently, and we're going to have to come up with our unique way of doing it. And so we've decided to follow what's called the Unconference Format, which is really a way in which the community decides what the agenda is going to be. And in fact, if you go to joomladayusa.org, there's a link there that says session ideas, and it goes to a wiki, which is going to be a place that anybody can put any session ideas they have, any people that they think would be great to talk about those particular ideas, and we're going to let the community decide about a 2-week period before the event what's going to be on the agenda. So it's open now. Anybody can go to the joomladayusa.org site. They can post their session ideas, and then we're going to let the community decide what's going to be on there for that 2-day period.
It's going to be really interesting. Really interesting.
I'm interested to see what they say. Absolutely.
Well, who knows? They might say, we want to see Johan yodeling.
I hope that's on there, because if somebody else doesn't put it, I will.
Well, we do. We actually, with Johan, we do know he has a bit of a fixation on the themes of pirates at the moment. Big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, so he might do a jig for them, but who knows? That's going to be interesting. And I mean, this is a logistics question, but what if the suggestions are you find maybe a bit too obtuse? Will you be able to encourage these guys with a bit of guidance if the ideas haven't been quite what you think is going to work?
Yeah, the unconference format doesn't work without good facilitation. So we're going to have some assistance from a local Bay Area nonprofit that's going to help us kind of facilitate and make sure that these ideas that are coming out come to something that's tangible and that people can kind of rally behind and get what they need out of this 2-day session. So we got to make sure that we're staying somewhat on track and the yodeling doesn't go on too long with you.
Okay, so it's not complete anarchy. There are some controls in there to make sure they get a good show.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was thinking Vive la Revolution, but so you've got the Joomla Day. Give us the dates again.
Yes, it's going to be May 12th and 13th. It's a 2-day Joomla Day. And I should note that both days are open to the entire community. We're not going to have something that one day is a business day or professionals day and one day is an end user day. Both days are wide open to anybody who wants to come. We're really happy to have everybody from business power users to developers that do this only at night to just end users from the nonprofit and even the business world that are trying to keep their websites up and running with Joomla.
So people are able to advance book on the website. Is that set up, or what's the process?
That will be coming out soon. The website just launched yesterday, and we're going to be collecting the session ideas, and very shortly we're going to be putting up the registration page. We hope by Monday of next week, just a couple of days.
Okay. So you're going to be pretty busy over the next little bit.
Yeah. I would say so.
I've also heard your barbecues in DC are famous.
Oh, we have lots of great food. So if we ever get it actually leads to a great point. We are saying this is Joomla Day USA West. Yeah. Because we do have a limit to the number of people that are going to be able to attend in the West. And being that the United States is such a large country geographically, we are also planning to have Joomla Day Midwest in Texas, most likely, and Joomla Day East in New York City as well.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that sounds great. So are you going to be involved in those, do you think, or...?
I think that we definitely will be helping out, and hopefully the success that we have from the Joomla Day West can give us some ideas as to how we could do the Midwest and the East even better.
Yeah, so it'll certainly give you some ideas and provide the momentum, because by all accounts, I think Joomla's grown substantially in the past 12 months in the United States. True or false?
Very true. I know that Johan has shown me the stats that show how popular it is in Europe and in Asia, but I think that it's really picked up in popularity here in the U.S., and I see it every day in the nonprofit community as well.
So, I mean, once upon a time, not that long ago, you could say to someone, Joomla, and they'd say, what? What would the ratio be now, do you think, if you walked into a room? How many people would know what it is?
I would say if you walked into a room of technologists, I would say that 5 to 6 times the number of people that could say it last time and this time last year can say it now this year.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? It's just hard to believe sometimes when you look at the numbers.
It's just the power of the community and fabulous leadership. It's been an amazing ride and great to watch.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thanks a lot for giving us some time tonight, or today. It's tonight for me and today for you.
That's correct.
Yeah. And you may as well give us the name of the Joomla Day and the URL and the dates one last time, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Joomla Day USA, and this is the West edition. It is at www.joomladayusa.org. And we'd love to have you join us May 12th and 13th at Google in San Francisco Bay Area.
Ow, I just fell down the stairs.
Please hang up and try again.